All right, Kate, talk to me. Tell me how excited you were when you got that box today, man.
Bro, I'm telling you, this thing is a beast, bro. And I know I'm looking down, and it just has it's very suggestive. I apologize. Let me bring it up a little bit here. Here you go. This is what it looks like.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
a big monster. It is. It is a monster. It's quite big. It's big man switch. This is what I'm talking about here. I know my camera insists on blurring everything out. It's just what it does. But there you go.
That's
I
nice.
will be posting more information about it as we go along. But like one thing
So
that
so
differentiates itself, you see, it's got like a proper USB port with a USB-C as well, and all that. It's great. There, it's good.
so what have you gotten to, I guess, do so far? Have you got Windows set up, or you haven't played anything yet, right?
Booted it up. Windows, go through your standard setup. Funny thing, which I've heard my ROG ally brethren out there talking about, the setup took half a day. This thing is already up to date.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
I booted it up, it connected, put my credentials in, whatever, and of course it's Windows, so you're expecting it to take some time,
Right.
all
Right.
the updates and blah blah blah. I suspect that it's because this thing is like hot off the presses, as they say, fresh out the box. So they probably just installed Windows on it, maybe like a week ago. So it may not need as many updates or whatever. But yeah, I booted this thing up, logged in, Windows is up to date.
That's what I'm talking about. Well,
kind of crazy.
well, okay, especially considering that we're live. Okay,
Mm.
we are live here. So welcome everyone to episode 2 of the Gamers Playground. I'll be hosting duties today. Me and Kay are gonna switch it up every now and then, keep things fresh. And I gotta kind of dusty shoulders off, man. I haven't done this in a while. So welcome everyone. I already see the usual suspects in the chat, all great people. I know Gerald Mack hit us up earlier with a super chat. You want to read that real fast, Kay?
Will do. Let's see. So we have the man Gerald Mack, always in here bright and early. This time with a $2 super chat. He says, "Hey, PS, don't nobody give a F." Salute GWG. Yes, he is a sole console gamer. Anybody want to hear no PC speak? At least not in his
Gerald
respect.
Mack, look.
But I appreciate the support, brother.
Hopefully, by the time that you listen to a couple episodes of me and K, man, we get you to open up your mind and just and what's gonna happen to you, Gerald Mack, is that one day the same thing that happened to me, you're gonna get tired of settling, and you're not gonna be that missionary gamer that we talk about all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Here we go. I'm telling you, one day I'm going to insist on some visuals for your missionary gamer that you keep insisting on. Oh, and by the way, talking about good people in the chat, salute to the old and the new. I see Mr. Hargeet Chani's in here.
Oh, Hargeet,
this will be the first time brother? I see him on our air while on this show. So welcome, good sir. Appreciate you being here.
That's awesome.
But sir,
welcome, Hargeet.
What do you have for us today, sir?
Yeah, so today, right, we're gonna first I gotta give you some roses, man. You and Everborn for this past Saturday. The gaming circle podcast, man, it was an excellent show. I was laughing the whole time. I want to congratulate you because I know that you had Paris come on, right?
Yeah. Paris Lily showed up. Now the cool thing with Paris is, like, I've been trying to get him on, right, and it's hard to get him on unless he follows you, because you can't communicate with him through Twitter unless it's in the DM because his DMs are closed. Whatever. Needless to say, he watches the shows, so he was on. He happened to be in the DM, and we were having an interesting conversation, and he asked if he could be on. I'm thrilled to have the man on. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, he'll be on officially. He'll come to the show on a Saturday morning. We're gonna do it up proper. But yeah, I appreciate that. We had him on, and we had a great show. Yeah.
No, you guys had an excellent discussion, and I love the way everything came together, kind of like organically. Because you guys, I know that the ABK talk was gonna kind of dominate the airwaves, and then it just morphed into a good discussion about the media and stuff. So it was excellent. Yes. So all right, Kate. So today, right, we're gonna
actually before we continue, let me as we brought up the man Hargeet Chani. He's in here with a $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, Xbox evaluating buying Sega.
Yes.
Wonder how your boy Everborn is feeling. Well, I'll tell you how Everborn is feeling, sir. I'll tell you right now, because he was disturbing me before we was prepping the show, because he was on the phone going, told you. I told you. People's crazy. People thought I was wrong. He's losing his mind right now.
So what you're saying is that now
someone give him some breathing
Ryan
apparatuses out there.
He's Team Jim Ryan all of a sudden. Now he's on the FTC side. That's what you're saying, because he hopes that this deal gets blocked so that Sega can come in and save the day. That's what it is.
My only thing is, and while this is all exciting, there was always an adage, and I think that adage still applies. If they're telling you about it, it probably ain't gonna happen.
Yeah,
the stuff they don't tell you about is what happens. And all this tea's being spilt, so I'm just like, oh, I hope this doesn't mean it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man.
The stuff that happens. They don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? The fact that it's out there. If you think
about it, though, that Sega relationship with Sarah Bond is pretty tight right now, man.
It's pretty strong. It's very strong.
It wouldn't shock me. But we're gonna leave the ABK talk for other shows, and we got plenty to look forward to this week. I know that Lulu is on the way to that courtroom, so I can't wait for that. So that's going to be exciting. We got so much to cover this week on the ABK stuff, but we're here to talk about PC gaming, Kay. So first, let's talk about the PC game of the week that's releasing this week. And
okay, you want to put something on the screen for us, or?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right.
So I'm gonna play.
As we are new to this, I'm going to drive, and he's going to lead us in this wonderful effort. Here you go,
let me know.
Share what you got.
All right. Perfect. All right. So we got AEW Fight Forever coming out on June 29th, Thursday. And the reason why this is so exciting for me and for so many wrestling fans out there is because this game, they're bringing back the glory days, of the N64 gameplay. Were you part of the N64 wrestling craze with games like No Mercy, WCW Revenge, NWO Revenge? You had World Tour.
No Mercy I played a lot of. I played a whole lot of No Mercy. Me and a couple buddies of mine at the time. Yeah, so I do recall that. Yeah.
Okay. So the reason, right, that this is so exciting is because those games ran on something called the Aki engine, right? Okay. And they weren't really simulation wrestling. It was more of an arcadey feel. But one thing that made the game so good is just the gameplay, man, was always top notch, right? And throughout the years of all the wrestling games that have come out, there's no game that has come close to that gameplay, that Aki engine had. And now with AEW Fight Forever, AEW is a new promotion that started about 3 or 4 years ago, right? That's the competition to the big boys WWE. They have a lot of wrestlers, obviously, that grew up in our age, and they grew up with these N64 games. And then as soon as they started, thinking about making a game, they're like, we gotta give the fans a throwback of what we used to love, and that's why wrestling fans like me are so excited. So June 29th, man, it's gonna be epic.
So let me ask you real quick. Yeah. Let me ask you just a quick aside. So that engine, is it the look of the game that excites the fans, or is it the gameplay itself?
It's the gameplay itself. Like, for example, in sports games and in the latest wrestling games, like the WWE 2Ks of the world, these things are motion captured. So after a while it does look pretty good on screen, right? After a while, it becomes very kind of like repetitive and robotic to the point where things just don't flow naturally, right? What's good about the Aki engine back in the day is that everything was hand drawn. Like everything was animation based of being hand drawn and stuff like that, and the moves looked like they had more impact to them. It was more arcadey. So think of it, kind of like Street Fighter, how things are hand drawn and animated that way, and you get like that. You get those nice animations that everything looks cool. And I know I'm kind of describing it weirdly here, but you really need to look at.
I'm assuming that when the game comes out, you will be playing it, and I will definitely get a better hand's eye view of it, and you can give us your account. But yes, it is a genre that seems to have died out a little bit, the wrestling genre, because every time they try to redoing it, it seems to like they're missing something. So I hope this is the one that finally connects.
Well, the problem is that when it comes to wrestling games, right? Let's remember that WWE they took out all the competition from back in the day, right? Like they became
Right.
that fear that you hear that you don't want Xbox to acquire everything. Well, WWE kind of acquired the competition, right? So
Okay.
it's been very repetitive with 2K. You know what 2K does, that they kind of recycle year after year after year. There's really little innovation in that space. So this to like wrestling fans like myself, this is like NFL 2K. And I know I'm talking kind of smack about 2K, but this is kind of like if NFL 2K was announced to come back. You remember that NFL 2K5
Oh
gameplay?
yeah, of course, of course, of
That's
course.
what this feels like. It feels like,
Yeah.
wow, the glory days are coming back of
Okay.
the wrestling game.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's really exciting. Really
Awesome,
exciting, man.
awesome. So when are we expecting this to be released?
June 29th on
Oh wow.
Steam, and of course consoles. So, and I
Okay.
think it's even coming up on the Abacus. So, Mr. Joanna Dark, they're calling your name. All right.
Oh, stop it, stop it. Okay.
Nah, just
You're
messing with
gonna
you.
call him out. He's gonna show up and gonna be all
Oh,
saucy.
he's already. He's already here. I already saw him talking smack around.
Okay.
So that's exciting, man, for
Mhm,
myself and for the many wrestling fans. All right, so okay, this show, we called it choices, and
mhm,
it's funny that we're doing that, right? Because let's pivot a little bit and let's
mhm,
get into the exciting news for you with the
mm.
A01K Zoe Pro. Real
Okay,
fast,
okay, okay.
real quickly. Let's just this is and I think it goes real well with what we're trying to do here and what we're trying to talk about today, right?
Okay.
The PC space as a gamer gives you so much choice that what better way to start off the show than by talking about the AOK Zoe A1 Pro, because look at the difference in device that I got last week that
Mhm,
me and many gamers we got with the Asus ROG Ally that we're all excited about, and the horsepower and all that good stuff. And out of nowhere, here comes the AOK's A1
mhm.
Pro. It's in your hands. I know you haven't really messed around with it either, so we're not
Yep,
gonna
gotta play some more
really,
with it.
yeah, we're not gonna go there with it. But this is what we talk about. What excites me, right, about the choice that the
Yeah.
PC space gives gamers. So let's talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that, man. How you feeling right now about it?
I mean, it's still early days. Obviously, let's get the bad news out of the way. These are all small companies, and with small companies comes a lot of risk, right? If you buy it, you're putting the risk on yourself, right? Um, Companies like Asus and companies like Valve, who try to be more ubiquitous and big to the point where you feel comfortable buying their product because, hey, if anything ever happens, you know where to go to, right? The Ally, for example, anything happens, God forbid, an issue, you're lucky enough to have bought it at Best Buy, you can just go to Best Buy replacement. I heard that's happening and all that. So that's good, right? Problem is, smaller companies, you don't have that option, right? This is a Chinese-based company. If anybody knows what the OX player is, the same base company, different sub company. So they have the same benefactor, and then they use two different styles of development to make these devices. Windows based. This is in all intents and purposes just like your ROG Ally, right? But they are so much lower on the totem pole that they use something like Indiegogo or Kickstarter to get to the masses, right? So and I see you in there, Mr. Kirby Louise. He's in there talking about. Yep, there you go. So by the way, and he says they will charge you $100 more and won't give you the 75 hertz of RAM. No thanks. Actually, sir, they have given you the 75 100 hertz of RAM. There was originally the chipset, that specific chipset was having issues going up to 7500 hertz. So they were saying they couldn't do it. I think they were at 60 some odd hertz. And recently, I think a week before they started shipping, they did say that they have been able to actually hit the actual 7500 hertz there. So we shall see. Again, I'll be putting it through its paces. As we've already said, customer support is a thing. You want to make sure at this point, I'm taking, what do they say? I'm doing the silicon lottery, as it were. You get a good one, you're great. You get a bad one, then it's about support. And
Yeah.
support is you talk to folks. Maybe you if you live in the United States as I do, it'll be difficult to get the back and forth. I'm talking to some folks who've had some issues with their Aya Neos, for example, and there's been a lot of back and forth getting support. They get support, right? But it's just slow and tedious, and you want to be able to go to Best Buy and turn around and come back, right?
Of course, yeah. So it
let's just
definitely
be
is
clear on that. Yeah.
for the power advanced user. It's definitely
Exactly.
recommended, and you know, if you're like me, okay, apprentice here, we definitely want something where if God forbid something were to go wrong, we can just go to Best Buy, for example, and say, hey, this thing for whatever reason the driver messed it up or whatever, just give me a new one. You know what I'm saying? Or it doesn't turn on, or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. Yep. So needless to say, this came out roughly at the same time the deck, the what do you call it, the Ally was releasing. The Ally was what, 650, 700? It was 7,
yeah,
right?
it was $699.
Yeah. So here's, and I've had this conversation before, and I'm gonna really like try to hone in on it right now. The reason I bought this over the Ally, right?
Right.
$100 more, $100 more, right? The problem I have with the Ally is why the same battery? Why the same battery as the deck? That's ridiculous. You're offering a high performance screen. You're offering way more. Yes, there's optimizations in the new chipset, but it's not that much more optimized that you'll just benefit from so much more optimization that the same battery as the deck won't give you less battery life, right?
Yeah.
You're throwing more power, less juice, so you're going to get less battery than even the deck, right? So that to me was a little bit of a lesser minus there, right? And then the battery life and the screen. Obviously, I'm a big man. I want a big size screen. I like you, Mr. John Wolf. I love my retro games. 16:10 screen. So if you're playing a 4:3 game, you get a bit more real estate on your screen.
Fills it up
16:9.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, fills up the screen.
You know, yeah. So by and large, since I saw that based on all the specs that were going around, that none of these devices beat the deck at the lower than 15 TDP realm, then this realm became a companion device to me. And if it's a companion to the deck, because if I'm going someplace long distance and I want battery life, I'm still taking the deck, right? But this, I want to play, I don't know, Cyberpunk on it. I want to play it's a more of a shooter box or retro games, right? So I'm going to put it through its paces. The software isn't great. You know, I'm sure you'll get better software with the Ally. You get great software with the Ion Neos and all of that, right? But of course, this being Windows, a lot of third-party options out there. We'll talk about you and your big box options. Those are out there as well, right? So, you know, it's just fun to be able to play with a new device. That's a little different.
Former big box option. We're making a couple of changes there.
Yes. and oh, by the way, I see Mr. Joanna Dark is already in our chat, and he's already being slanderous. He says, "Play Starfield, sir." I will try.
For
on
sure.
This thing. I will try.
For sure. So with everything that you just mentioned, right? And that's the beauty in all this. It's the choice that we both had looking for a gaming device, but to kind of fill that different need, right? And I think that this goes beautifully with what in my opinion the PC market is, which is you have a lot of choice across the board. You can spend X amount of dollars and get X amount of performance, or you can spend a little bit more and get, you know, higher specs and all that good stuff. But the range, right, and the choice is something that I think is so good. And the reason, again, and I mentioned this, I think in our previous show, the reason I'm excited that you went with the AOK Zoe, number one, we have different things to talk about on the show, and we can compare and contrast. But also, you didn't have to settle. And that's the key thing here. You weren't going to be happy with the Asus ROG Allies battery, where I'm okay with it because I was looking for a certain need and I was looking for a certain setup, but you were not satisfied with that battery. And here comes a company giving you that choice. So that's what I'm talking about here. And for you know, my gamers out there like Gerald Mack, for example, and stuff like that, for whatever reason don't want to give the PC space a chance, just know that range of choice sometimes, man, it comes at the cost of convenience. You know, it's either you pick convenience or choice.
You know what, though? I have no issues with somebody like Gerald Mack or any
not at all.
Other gamers. You know why? Yeah. I have no issues with that because it's up to the platforms. It's up to the developers. It's up to your ROG Allies, your Microsofts. It's up to all of them to prove to you that, hey, this thing might actually be worth my time, right? And if they haven't done so yet, then stand on your square. It is what it is. Like for me, I enjoy having this kind of power in my hands, being able to, do interesting things with it. I'm going to be putting a lot of videos out there. A lot of indie games are going to be popping off on here. I'm excited about that, right? But if you want that console-like experience, and maybe this is not doing it for you, hell yeah! Like don't.
Which there's nothing, and there's nothing. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that we've made that clear since day one. This show's not going to be about slandering the console gamer because me and you are console gamers. We have our consoles still, and there's days that there's days that I don't want to play with a Windows environment. I just want to play on my Xbox or my PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? So that's not what this is about. It's just giving, gamers that might have that stigma or that the PC stuff is too hard or too complicated or too much of a headache, that we're trying to kind of decipher that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I agree with you. Ooh, shout out to the indie gamer in the chat. The man with the indie games. Love his programming. If you ever are looking for any cool, interesting indie games, his is content you need to seek out. He always has amazing content. Salute to you, sir, for being here. Thank you.
It's awesome.
So yes, as you can see, they have a lot of they're the AKO Zoe company is a small man in the market, so they're trying to prove themselves. So they got demos on their website. They're showing you what they can and cannot do.
Can I tell you something though that you can? Can I tell you one thing you can thank ASUS for? You can thank ASUS, and then ASUS has to, and then we need to thank Valve for doing this. It's keeping that cost down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the more competitors that come in, the cost needs to stay in that range, or else they're going to be outpriced. So
absolutely.
So we need more players in this arena so that those prices can come down for us.
Although,
you know what I'm saying?
Although I will give AKO Zoe a little bit of smoke on that account, just a little bit of smoke. Why? Because yes, it's to keep the cost down. Yes, it's to make sure everything's cool. And yeah, you saw, the ROG Ally came in $50 more than the most expensive Steam Deck. Ooh, that's a price, right? And then what did the AKA Zoe come in? $100 more for twice the battery, twice the RAM, and a chipset that roughly performs better than the Ally does. And the price tag is only $100 more. Yeah. That was during the early bird, you just saw it here real quick price. Now that it's past its Indiegogo, it's funding goals, it's not $800 anymore. It's not $799 anymore. It's over $1,000. So it's back up to debilitatingly expensive pricing. Yes.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's cool. They're in the game. Yeah, they're trying to make things happen, and it's good that they're going to make things happen. But I don't think they are in a position potentially to actually buy like make an impact right now, because they're still charging way too much money for this stuff, right?
They're not
now it's $1,000.
They're still in that avenue where they're only going to make X amount of units and move on to their next one, but again, they had all the components and all the specs that kind of called your attention, and and you pulled the trigger, and I'm super excited for you, man, to give us updates, this week on your performance. So let's see what we have here. Hey, we got to get Kirby Louise on one of these episodes when we're going to talk graphic cards, because Kirby Louise can teach us a thing or two for sure. So So in keeping in line with choices, Kay, let's talk about a little project that you told me about that you were on this morning, man. Let's let everybody know what you were working on.
Yeah. All right. So all right. Let's talk a bit about what I have been working on. All right. So much like all of you all, I'm sure, if you're in any of these PC spaces, I use PC to remember the good old days, right? I play my consoles, I play my PC, I play all the things. I'm even one of the weird morons that plays in the cloud. Like if I need a real quick session, I have no issues playing pixelated in the cloud, because I know if I want the best, I know where to get it, right? I'm fine with that. And real quick, I need to play on something, I can do that. So I play everywhere, right? So when it comes to my PC space, I like to experiment. I like to go in the old school. And of course, Mr. John Wolf has been making me very jealous, because he has put it upon himself to create like the ultimate retro gaming experience in his home, and he's been sharing details with us as it's been maturing. So I've been going, I miss my old retro games. Oh, I miss those old games. And my favorite old game that I used to play, and it's funny when I say retro because it's not retro to me, it's not at all, was Guitar Hero and Rock Band, right? And I heard you, Mr. John Wolf, talk about how you found a board, like one of the Wii boards that then allowed you to use authentic controls, right? So I'm like, hey, maybe like I have all these games back there. I have like the actual Rock Band, all the various Rock Bands and Guitar Heroes. I have hard drives full of DLC that I paid for that are literally just sitting there. So maybe I can bring them, using emulation. Maybe I can, put a PC together and just emulate it, right? So I went down those waters, right? I went down that hill. Needless to say, it's a far deeper rabbit hole than I thought. Because I thought, like you just go, you emulate it. What's the latest and greatest emulator right now? RPCS3 probably, right? Because compared to the version of time when that game came out, we're talking Wii, we're talking 360, we're talking PS3. And out of all the emulators in that realm, right? Maybe the Wii with Dolphin, they're good.
And then RPCS3. That was at the height of the Guitar Hero craze. So
yeah. So exactly. So needless to say, I went down those waters, right? Long story short, for reasons, you can never line them up. Like you can never line them up. And I had a bunch of guitars back in the day. I was, I loved this stuff. I'm a musician in my former life. I studied music in college. I have instruments. I'm a musician. I love. So when music comes together with games, my other love, it's magic for me. So I was a big fan of this thing.
What was your favorite edition of Rock Band, by the way, or Guitar Hero?
Oh, I don't think I have a favorite. I love them all. Like I really do. I love them all. It helped me rekindle my love of old like 80s rock and all this stuff. Like I love all of them. I even have bunch of guitars over there.
A DJ Hero junkie?
I have my custom like a limited edition Eminem and Jay-Z variant right over here.
That's right.
So,
I remember that.
So yes. So, but here's the thing: we're trying to rekindle and put all this back together. I'm like, I want a place where I can just put it all together, play my old instruments. I have a bunch of instruments here. My kids are finally of age that they want to try it out. They're like, oh, what is this interesting thing? Come to find out, it's very, very difficult to recreate that thing in 2023. Either you have to have a bunch of PlayStation instruments, and I have an Xbox 360 pair of instruments, or you have to, have this game and you don't have that game, or this emulator doesn't work. And then I found some righteous man. Now, who is this righteous man? I do not know this righteous man's name, but I want to buy him a beer. I have already bought him a beer in the form of sending him a little bit of money because I was like, it's a free piece of software, but damn it, you deserve some payment. I have a feeling that this man was going through the same issues that I was going through. And then he invented, because he got sick and tired of going through the BS, he invented a thing called Clone Hero. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Clone Hero. And what does this do? It literally recreates Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and you can put all the stuff you had from before into it.
So all right. So let's talk about this for a second. Okay. So with this, if I download this on my PC, okay.
Yes.
What you're saying is that any song that was on any Rock Band, any Guitar Hero, and I'll be able to play those songs and use whatever instrument I had, 360, PS3, Wii, Xbox One, I think even had a guitar or whatever.
The only thing is you have to be able to interface the instrument that you have with your PC. However you do it. So for me, it's easy because I have a 360. Remember the 360? You had a dongle for your PC. You plug it in, and then it connects it using the.
I think I still got mine.
Uses the Xbox protocol. That's right. So I have that dongle. Right, exactly. There you go. Exactly. Mine's black. I have that dongle. I plug it in. It connects all of my. There you go. That's a great controller, by the way, sir.
Yeah. With the little switch, with the little D-pad that used to flip. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it connects all of my instruments, right? So as long as your computer can detect all your instruments, this thing is a godsend. Now, of course, you're looking at it. It's basic. It looks basic. Okay. But that's because this is the basics of it. You can, how in the world of emulators that we live, they'll build the emulator, make it perfect, and then they'll say, "Oh, it won't work until you add the firmware from, let's say, a PlayStation 3."
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
This one is weird in that it's exactly this, but then you can add the videos from Rock Band, Guitar Hero, all of the various games into the black space that's right there right now, and then it looks exactly like the game you used to play.
So you're talking about the graphics,
footage,
the graphics of the game?
yes.
Okay, of like
Not
the
graphics.
of like
Those
of
are
like
not
for
graphics.
example for
Yeah.
example the guy with
The
the
guy just
mohawk
dancing, the
playing.
CG, yes,
Yeah,
all that
got you,
stuff. Those are just
got you.
videos, and people
Okay.
have stripped those videos from the games, and you can literally
Wow,
place them in a specific folder, and now you're playing the game exactly as it
dude.
was when you.
This is what I'm talking about. You see, the one thing I've learned about PC is that where there's a will, there's a way, and this is like the ultimate gif of Thanos.
Uh-huh.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Oh,
This
oh,
dude got tired of them not releasing new games, and he's just said, "Okay, I'll take matters into my
yep,
own hands."
absolutely. And to make matters even crazier, because this is created by someone and not by a company, all things are compatible. Oh,
Wow.
you remember the songs from Rock Band? Yeah, they all play. Remember the Guitar Hero songs? Yeah, they all play. Remember the weird offshoot ones? Remember DJ Hero? Yeah, you can put DJ Hero in here. Connect the DJ Hero controller, and it will play here.
And
Oh,
all
and while it's
instruments
doing it,
will work.
all instruments will work. And while it's
The
doing it, it shows
drums,
you the
everything.
title. It shows you the lyrics of the song, and you can plug in a mic. It's a full karaoke box from jump.
Wow.
Like, it's amazing. And there are communities full of Google Drives, full of all the collections and the playlists that you remember that you paid for on 360. They're literally there just to
Dude,
be downloaded and
why are you
placed in.
doing this to me right now?
It's
Don't you know I'm working on
crazy.
another project already? Like, come on,
It's
man.
crazy, bro.
Killing me here.
So my goal here is because and I needed to know what the requirements were, right? So this game plays best at 30 frames per second. Yes, that's right, 30 frames per second. I got it to play at 60, but when you play it at 60, it's like you can see the animations are a little wobbly. You can tell it's not as tight. But when you play it at 30, then it's locked because the animations weren't meant for 30.
But with the notes coming in, I mean, we're not talking about a game that you really need 60, right? I mean,
no.
correct me if I'm wrong.
You don't. Yeah. So I know people will see this and they'll go, "Oh yeah, let's turn it all up." Games like this, latency, right? Latency and frame rate is a real concern because you don't want you want it to be on point. If it skips a frame while you're playing, the whole thing just loses its mind, right? And I wanted to stress test this and make sure that this could play on like literally anything and everything. So I played this on my Ultrabook laptop I have sitting in the corner over here. That's got like what is it? An MX 150 GeForce MX 150 processor in it. Piece of crap.
How many years is that? At least 5 years, no?
At least 6 or 7 years.
Wow,
at least 6 or 7 years. Yeah, so it's an old machine. And I could get it to 60, right? But I could get game to 60. But again, I was telling you the animation. All that matters is literally the highway that's coming here, right? It was a little framey and weird. You lock it to 30. Even on that potato, it played great. So now my goal is I'm going to buy a small, teeny, tiny mini PC, right? With a nice, maybe 2-3 terabyte drive and just load it up with all these games, with all these DLC.
The playlist. Yeah, the playlist.
The playlist, as it were. Yeah. And just have this in my playroom and play, because the kids, man, yes.
Here's this is phenomenal stuff right here. So let me ask you ask you this one question, because I think that I want to know, and obviously the viewers are probably going to be asking themselves, can we put songs that were not released by any of these companies into the game? So like, let's say that we have a Megadeth track or something that we want to put on there that was never, and how do the notes get created and all that? Is that just like it'll
good
do it
question,
by itself?
sir.
It'll figure it out?
No, very, very good questions. Very good questions. So all of these were authored, like the original ones you remember were authored by Harmonix, if you recall, because they are the company who made the game, right? So when you buy this game, when you download this game, it comes with their songs, right? Which you've never heard before. Probably you have. They're popular rock songs that have been made, that have been like not the original artists, or some of our original tracks, right? But it'll be decent songs. But then when you like, there's a community that has playlists basically in hard drives in the cloud, as it were, and they'll go,
Okay.
"Oh, you want Rock Band 1? Go download the Rock Band 1 folder. It's 1.2 gig. You place the 1.2 gig Rock Band 1 folder into a specific folder of this piece of software called Custom Songs, and there is a Rock Band 1 playlist, and all of the songs from Rock Band 1 show up there.
So if you want
And
like
they've
all Beatles
reauthored,
stuff,
yes,
everything.
all of them.
Wow.
They've reauthored everything that Harmonix did. So all the notes that you remember that you could literally close your eyes and play, you can still do that on here because it's exactly the same. And there's an editor, because this, of course, is open source and everybody can do it. Like, well, not open source, but he's releasing it to the public for public consumption for free. So there's an editor, so you can add your own songs, and people have done so. There are songs that have been added that come complete with the highway. You can edit the highway. See the highway you see there? You can edit it with different pictures. You can put different videos in the background. You can make it look completely different or exactly like you remember it from the old days. The person who did this deserves so much accolades. I don't know how else to say it. I found this thing. Wow. I found it on Friday night. I did not get out of this rabbit hole until late Sunday. And when I was done, my laptop was connected to my PC, my OLED, and me and the kids and the wife was rocking out. It was amazing.
That's awesome, man. That's what it's all about, man. That's why, like, I like one of the most rewarding things was getting, my wife and daughter to play, some Wii U games and some old Nintendo games and stuff, and just having a good time, man. And that's what this is all about. And this is like, to stay in theme with the show, right? With choices, like only in the PC space, K, can you get stuff like this? Because if not, I mean, look, we come from. You have some background, and I have some background also with modded consoles and stuff, where where you kind of people took matters into their own hands and kind of turned the OG Xbox into the ultimate media device, which was giving you a glimpse into what the Xbox 360 was going to be, right? And that's one of the things that when we spoke earlier today, I mentioned that it's like once you see Breath of the Wild running at 4K 60, you've already seen a glimpse to what Nintendo is going to release with the next Switch iteration, if they even do that. Knowing them, I don't know, but you would think that they're going to do that, right?
That it is pretty hilarious, isn't it? It's almost like you can walk up to your Nintendo brethren, take them by the hand, and go, "Buddy, I've seen what Tears of the Kingdom looks like at 4K 60. I've been to that promised land. I can take you there. It just requires a lot of equipment."
Yeah, it just requires, a monster PC, but that's it.
It just requires a lot of expensive equipment.
Yeah, but we can get there. No, but seriously, but seriously speaking, for gamers, right? Especially gamers that for myself, and I'm speaking for myself. Gaming since I was little. I started on the original NES. Generation after generation, just seeing things like this, it's reignited like this appreciation for gaming for me, where it's not paint by numbers. It's not, okay, next game coming out, I beat it, now I'm bored until something else comes out. And I hear that a lot in the community, where gamers are saying that they're bored, and it's kind of like they're not happy with games coming out. They're bored. Are they losing their love of this industry? Stuff like that. Like, am I losing my love for gaming? Like, you hear that every here and the thing is that stuff like this is what excites me. It's like, Guitar Hero being a franchise that I used to love myself. I owned all of them. In fact, I even owned, I think the first Guitar Hero came out on PS2, right? I think that was the first official Guitar Hero that came out. I remember getting that, and then upgrading
the 360 got the wired one.
Yep. And then I remember the Everborn's Godfather Peter Moore playing on stage with the Beatles, and the guitar wasn't working or whatever. So at E3, like dude, it was so exciting. And I know that eventually, they oversaturated the market with instruments and with games, and it started becoming a yearly thing, where now it kind of gets that Maddenitis, where it's kind of samey. So that, unfortunately, that this genre kind of died off. And it's like, for people like you and me that we appreciate music, dude, having an option like this is so exciting, man. Like, what you really found here was like a gold mine, because even me, when I was doing my emulation project, one of the things that excited me the most was being able to get all the Guitar Hero games, through emulation. And I bought the disc, I ripped them, all that good stuff to do what I got to do. And then that's the instrument part is what I started to have to do research on. That I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to
the butt.
Yeah,
pain in the butt.
And what you have found here, my friend, is gold for anyone that was a fan of Guitar Hero, of any music rhythm game. Dude, take a look at this, and this is what we're talking about, choices. You're not gonna find this on your consoles, and that's something very important.
So you know what we're talking choices, and we have a little bit of time. So let me pull a little bit of an audible on you, if you don't mind.
Do it.
Just for
yeah, of course.
Just for a little bit, right? So like, and that's another reason why I wanted to put this show together with you, right? I wanted to talk about some weird stuff that normally does not get talked about, that normally doesn't show up in the normal like conversation or the parlance of what can be done. Because in the console space, right, you get a lot of convenience, and I appreciate the convenience. Convenience is awesome, right?
Yep.
Problem is, with convenience comes limitations
and sacrifice.
And sacrifice, exactly. So sometimes you don't want the sacrifice. Sometimes you want to be able to do weird stuff. You want to go balls to the wall, as they say. You want to do some unusual things, and that's where PC comes in, right? So while I look this up, and I'm gonna put it on the screen here. Have you guys ever seen Halo 2 fully ray traced?
No, I've never seen that.
Let me show you that, because that's a thing that I want to run as well. This is Halo 2 fully ray traced, and I think I want to have a conversation about that, because anyone can do that, because you have overhead, right? Stuff that you can't really do. They don't turn ray tracing on, right? It has to be built for you, right? But they have AI now that can then analyze a scene and then apply what they think ray tracing would look like. Right. And obviously this is like hardcore, like there's no optimization, so it's using your hardware like really, really badly.
Dude, look at that.
It's freaking cool. Like, what do you think?
I mean, it makes it look like a modern game is what it does. It brings it up to speed, up to age.
It changes everything. It just gives it this insane look, and it's actual real time. So like, if you shoot this is just a general like demo, but if you shoot a bullet, you'll literally see it ricocheting. Yes, wow. And of course, Kirby Louise not missing a beat. He's asking, is it using NVIDIA Remix?
I was going to ask that actually. What's making this happen?
It's using Remix, yeah. Like they first they started with Reshade, because that was the first thing, and the Reshade is kind of like, Reshade is a phony rendition, but it does a good job. But the recent iterations are using NVIDIA's Remix technology, which is super interesting.
And
turning things that shouldn't be into it.
And I don't know much about the Reshade stuff. So is this a 40 series only? No. Or
yeah. So what they're doing here, this one here is Reshade, and Reshade isn't full RT. Reshade is extrapolating, right? It's doing its best, right? That's what Reshade is doing. Whereas NVIDIA has technology they brought to bear that's been used by developers, that it's Remix, that is actually using full path tracing. And I think, yeah. See, there you go. That's actually using, and even that is not an exclusive feature to NVIDIA. Like they're just popularizing it, but it's part of the DirectX framework. You can use it, without NVIDIA's so-called liking or not. But I guess the reason why I bring this up is because folks, that if you, and is through no fault of your own, right? If you have always been brought up in the world where you're like, oh, well, when they allow you to do 60 frames, when they allow you to do ray tracing, when they allow you to do certain things, you don't know that these things exist, right? There's a crazy developer out there that has been able to find a way of making Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine 5 games translate into VR seamlessly with minimal work.
Wow.
Like to a scary level where the game wasn't built for RT for VR, but and I'll be honest, his technology, I've read it, I've actually like seen his talk about it, but it's beyond me. But he literally has been able to find a way. There's a handler that's specifically unique to Unreal that he's been able to log into, to tap into, and doing so, he's now able to like convert standard flat games that are UE4 to VR, and it retains most of your sense of
Asa
presence.
would call these pancake games. So
Yes,
let's use the right terminology, please.
absolutely,
Pancake
absolutely.
games.
Yeah, absolutely. These are the cool, interesting things that exist.
Okay, let me ask you, because so novice here, and if we do have novices in the audience, how would I even be able to turn this on if I'm playing Halo 2? What do I have to download? Where do I get this? How do I get this?
Let's see. Yeah, at a base level, right? Don't be afraid to search, right? Example, you see myself and John Wolf talking about, hey, Halo 2 can do ray tracing on PC. How is that possible? Right? You heard this thing. Somebody said reshade is not real. You heard NVIDIA remix. Do not be afraid to Google the term. Look it up. See what it's about. It might be too complicated for you. Nah, no big deal, right? A key place that you should use as your resource. You're here watching us, YouTube, right? Look this up, because more often than not, when they do, and you click show more, they give you all the details right here.
Gotcha.
You go to this website, maybe you join our Discord, we'll pass you the files. You go to this place. Oh, this only works on the Steam version. It doesn't work on the GOG version. You go to, all the various details you need to know. What PC he used to run it. What are the specs of that PC? All of it. Look at that. They're very thorough, right?
Look at that. But
it's how you get your feet wet.
It's completely, and that's the thing, right, that I love about this whole emulation thing that I've done a deep dive on. It completely transforms these games, man, into a way where it's like you're playing the same game, but it's like with a new pair of lenses. So it's kind of like if you're experiencing the game in a new way. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely it's and again, it's not waiting for these companies to say, hey, we're going to release Halo 2 with ray tracing, all right, for $60 or $70 a pop. No, I'll Thanos it and we'll do it ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's all about. Exactly. That's awesome, man. I mean, I think that you brought it today, man. I mean, these two things that you're showing off are pretty cool. So let's kind of move on, Kay, to the next subtopic, I guess you can call, and it's in line with what we're talking about here with choices, right? As a PC gamer, and this is something that even for me, I've messed around with, I tweaked, I've researched, but I still get overwhelmed sometimes with the amount of like choices that that a game will give you. That it's so many toggles for you to turn off, turn on. High, medium, high, ultra, all this good stuff. It can get kind of overwhelming, especially from someone like me coming from a console world where you have, what do you have nowadays? You have performance and you have fidelity. What do you want? Okay, so it's hard to go from 2 choices to now like 100. You know what I'm saying? So I want to talk about like some of these choices. What are they? What do they mean? Which one should we look out for? And I know that this is kind of tough to pinpoint because everybody has a different machine. There's X variable here, X variable there. My Asus ROG Ally I'll need different settings than I will when it's hooked up to the eGPU. And then here in my PC, I'll need different, I can do different things, but overall, right? Overall, like I'll give you an example. When you're a brand new player and you're ready to get your feet wet, what do you suggest to and I'm saying this kind of knowing the answer, but I'm still going to ask it either way.
Sure. No, absolutely.
Because here's the thing and I'm sorry that it's kind of hard for me to explain it. In the PC space, one thing that I've learned is that you have your trade-offs. Okay. What, and this is the choice that I love that PC gaming gives you. It asks you, what do you want to prioritize? Do you want to prioritize resolution but you're going to sacrifice in frames, or do you want to do it the other way around? Okay. And that's something, do you think that I hit the nail right on the head, that's kind of like the overall, I mean,
you're right. Come in? Yeah, absolutely. I would say actually in gaming in general, if you are a gamer, you are always dealing with concessions. The difference is If you're a console gamer, you usually don't know it because they make those decisions for you, and you just see what you've seen, and you think it's what all that was there. There may be more or less than what you see, but those decisions are made before you even see the game, right? But there are still concessions being made, right? Possibly, which, and I'm not being specific to any one box or another, right? Hey, this one can handle the dense foliage more than the other one can. Hey, this one can handle the draw distance better than the other can. Hey, maybe this hard drive is a little bit more performant than the other one can, so we'll dial up the LOD, 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 the what is it? What is it? What is it? Oh my goodness, it's dang it, length of distance or something like that. How long it takes before you start seeing it pop into the screen.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Stands for. Yeah, but needless to say, right? Those are all concessions that are always made, right? Everywhere you want. You don't want to make those concessions. Go buy the beefiest monster PC you can find. Even then, you'll probably have to make some concessions. Level of detail. Sorry, there you go. Thank you, Kirby Louise. Level of detail. So, and obviously, you dial that in. The more level, makes sense, right? The point, the overarching point, though, is you don't need to know what they are in order to get your feet wet in these waters. Because I've heard that spoken, and that's been said for quite some time. And for a while, that was true. There was a time when, you have to know what you're doing before you jump in the PC space. Oh, you got to know what it is. And there will always be some kind of learning curve, because that's what PC is. It comes with its learning curve because it's a multi-purpose device. It doesn't do just one thing amazing. It does everything amazing, which means you have to take some time and make it work how you want to work, your workflow, right? But the plus side of the house is where we are in the world today. We have like so many tools that help folks that may not understand how to get in the waters. Easily explains things to you very easily. You can be a Mr. Set it and forget it, or you can be research person, and either way works, right? If you want to be the set it and forget it guy, there are many tools out there that, much like the NVIDIA's like what do you call it? NVIDIA GeForce Experience, right?
Right.
That one's specific to the
Which
GeForce.
We're going to be showing off in a little bit. So
okay, yeah. Well, we're going to be showing off GeForce now. GeForce Experience in a little bit, right? GeForce Experience as a tool can kind of help you go optimize, and it'll scan your hard drive. Obviously, it makes very shallow surface level adjustments, but it's enough to get you by, and you don't need to worry about it. It's like it's the difference between driving a stick shift and an electric and a manual shift.
That's how I started, actually. Like when I first got the PC, I was using GeForce Experience. I think it's a good entry level tool.
It's a good entry point. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good entry point. But then as as you progress and as you graduate, you start tweaking things, and you're like, hey, I don't really think that they know what they're talking about. That's because they don't know me. They don't know what I like. So
by the time you get to the realization that, and I see you there in there, Kirby Louise, I got this for you. By the time you get to the point where you realize the GeForce Experience is garbage, it means it's not for you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely not.
You've outgrown it.
That's right. The moment you go, nah, homie, this is not my setting. It's not for you. You know what you're talking about. You know what you're doing. But for the rest of them who may not, it's a very good tool that at least will kind of help you understand, even if the settings that they are, the settings themselves that they are making may not be the best settings out there. But what they do well that I appreciate is they explain certain settings to you. So like, oh, you don't know what this does. You don't know what that does. They will tell you, they'll go in there and kind of give you examples of, okay, well, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what the effect is supposed to have, right? And that all helps explain and help you get where you need to go. Another recommendation I would give for that is, I just found this one as an example, Jedi Survivor. What's the best settings for performance, right? And there's no one that will work, because every single machine will come to you with a different specs than you probably have, but it gives you a broad idea of where you should focus your energy, because
a baseline.
Exactly. It gives you a good baseline, because you'll see, like, for example, in this example, you'll see like foliage detail, right? And in this game, foliage detail will have a huge difference in how the game performs. And then you'll try the same foliage detail setting in another game, and it barely moves the needle. It's just how it works, right? And it has something to do with the engine, has something to do with the decisions that the developers made on at the jump of it, right? But the long story short of it is, there are certain baselines that you have to be aware of, right? Most people will say get rid of film grain. Most people will say get rid of chromatic aberration.
I do. I did. I learned. I learned that. I want to say probably like 6 months ago. Yeah, that I did, and that's something I was not even aware that was on. Mm-hmm. Right, like, and it's across the board. It's like film grain is always on because these developers want to give it that cinematic view, that cinematic feel. So that's something that I turn off every single time.
Chromatic aberrations is able to blur some of the bad lines that you don't see. You don't see jagged edges because it's blurring it out. It's like the film you put. It's like filmic mode. That's what they're trying to do. And some people, those are the choices you make. Some people say get rid of motion blur. Some people say it's no big deal. These are all relative choices you make. Those are the baselines that you most of the time have to deal with. But as far as the full detailed settings, it's very game specific, and the more you play in these waters, the more you'll get used to it. So you shouldn't be afraid of it. You know what I mean?
Jarrett Bishop says that Todd Howard has entered the chat when we mentioned the word cinematic. So, so he's probably watching us right now, proud.
Hey, yes, exactly. We didn't say filmic. Yes. We didn't say filmic. Because that one pisses me off. Cinematic is a word. Filmic, get out of here with that. That's ridiculous.
And actually, Almin Roy has a good tip too. That of course, running the benchmark on the game to see where your frames are going to be, where you're going to be. Which
there you go.
Which actually, I was actually running benchmark last night with Callisto Protocol on the Asus. On the Ally. So I to me, I've become the snobby gamer where my frames are important. I try to have a baseline in my mind that I want everything between 80 to 100 frames, and I'll sacrifice a little bit on the visuals to get it to 1440p. That's kind of like I've learned I'm a 1440p gamer. I love and that's choice. Here we go again with the word choice.
And in the AAA space, that's the sweet spot in the AAA space. 1440p is a sweet spot. Yeah,
I think so because you get the visuals and the performance. So you get the best of both worlds. But again, this is all preference. Maybe for you, Kay, what's important is to get to 4K because you love seeing every level of detail on those creatures in Callisto. Like you appreciate what the artist did and you want to see the pimples on their face and and the ooze coming out and all that. Like you want to see that. But me, I want my game to perform better so I can sacrifice that. And that's the thing.
Believe it or not, but to your point of choice, that's the thing. I actually have both. So I have an ultra wide 1440p monitor. So I get a little bit of it's not 16 by 9, it's 21 by 9. So it's a little wide, and then I have a 4K monitor at the top, and it's standard frame, so I can use it to record 1080p if I want. This one would have bars on the left and the right hand side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but, not a fan of that.
I appreciate. No, I'm not a fan of that either. But usually, when you're watching a movie in this one, there's no letterboxing because it fits the whole frame. Needless to say, I appreciate what you're saying there as far as where you are at, as far as where you game the sweet spot for you. Folks who are now maybe new ROG Ally users or Steam Deck users, you may be, if you use it the way it was intended, you may be finding that you play indie games more than anything else because that's the sweet spot for them, right? Lower TDP, you can play a lot longer, right? And in those places, you'll find that the indie games of the world, your Hi-Fi Rush kinds of games will burn through these things for hours on end, as long as you're not trying to play Cyberpunk. Right. You wanna play like what's the Silk Song coming out, right? I have no doubt I'll be playing Silk Song on this thing for infinite hours.
And here's the thing,
they're
right?
Very good at that.
The artistic style in these games, also like a game like Ori, it'll look great even at 720. To be honest with you,
yes.
Obviously everybody prefers that 1080p crisp look, but
course.
But again, it's all about sacrifices.
See, that's the thing as well. People need to get out of that mindset of, it has to be 1080p. It has to be 4K. It has to be. It is what it is for what you need it to be, right? 720p on a 7-inch display is perfect and crisp. You have no worry, right? If you're watching that 720p on a 65-inch, yeah, we got a problem. The pixels are the size of golf balls. I get it. But on a 7-inch screen, you're good, right?
So
it's the marketing that has kind of screwed people's perception and made it more like a step ladder rather than a tool for its use case. You know what I'm saying?
For a game like Final Fantasy 16 to hit that subpar 720 on your 65, not acceptable. But when you're playing on your ROG Ally and you dim it down to 720, that's okay. We can deal with that sacrifice. So I get what you're I get what you're saying.
And the best part about the indie space is, by and large, they're also like, do you want it to look great? Do you want it to look good? Or do you want it to save battery? That's your choices. You don't have the LOD settings and the foliage and the chromatic aberration and no, they usually have good setting, low setting. Move on. And
you want to see Ori fuzzy, or do you want to see Ori, Chris,
well, okay.
Which one do you want?
Ori's a bad example because Ori was special. Ori, you could go even on the console and tweak it to 6K and do all this.
That is true.
Extra,
yeah, they did a lot of good
sampling
stuff.
Awesomeness to that game. That game was awesome. I really appreciated it. They added
Ori's awesome. Ori's awesome. All right, okay. So let's we're about at the hour mark now. Let's let's show the PC Tech, the tip of the week, and let's show off GeForce Experience for a little bit. We're here.
Okay.
We were talking about all the choices.
Share your screen.
If you want. Yeah, go ahead. I'm ready here. So we were talking about.
Right now, I have your screen shared, but the screen that's shared with me is the.
I apologize.
Yeah. So share the other one, please. Yes.
Let me get the right one here.
No worries, sir.
Let's do here.
And if you want to share that, maybe there you go. And I can also share Luna if you want to. So go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So we'll do Luna right after. So like we were saying, this is again, guys, very novice stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like there's gonna be some people in the audience, obviously, that are gonna. All right, it's my time to go grab a drink. But GeForce Experience is great for gamers that are coming in, with these new devices, with these new handhelds like your ROGs of the world. Right here, right, like you said, it'll scan your hard drive. So I'll show you what that looks like real fast. You can go here and you can tell it to basically scan all your drives. Okay, and when it finds your games here, it's also a launcher, but here you can tell it to optimize all games and apps. And then obviously, depending on the preset that you want, do you want more graphics? Do you want more performance, etc.? You can kind of tweak that on a slider. It'll kind of give you what you want, and it'll let you get started like we were talking about. So GeForce Experience, I'm new to the AMD game. I want to do a little bit of research and spend some time with the AMD software. I've never owned an AMD graphics card. I do now with the ROG Ally. I want to look to see what they offer. I saw a bunch of settings in there as well. I just haven't had the time,
now,
but that's something.
Is that in the Ally software or in the AMD software?
No, on the AMD side. So on the AMD suite, from everything I've heard and read, the AMD suite side of things it's very nice. It gives you a lot of options, but again, I got to do my homework to learn what those options are, and spend some time with that. But here, as you can see, my current setup for example, for Resident Evil 3, I've kind of turned things how I want, and then optimal will be on this side, which is kind of like recommending, hey, based on your hardware, you might want to go down this route. So as you can see, this is kind of like, and what's great about this is that, it gives you little details here that you can click on, little hints like texture, filter quality. It'll tell you what that is. It'll tell you why it's important, why you should care, why you shouldn't. And then here, texture quality again. So it goes giving you, it's very, I think this part is the part I
like, right? I like this part. This part at least tells you what it should be doing, even if the settings, the recommendations they're giving you is a little shallow. I agree that the recommendations are shallow, but it does at least give you a good idea of, what does this mean? If you're one of those people that are entry level and you're trying to learn and trying to understand what it may mean in the game and what it translates to, they do a pretty good job of explaining that with this. So it's pretty good.
It's not obviously for your power users and your more advanced gamer, PC gamer.
Mhm.
This is not this. You're not even going to open this or install it. But still, you're just going to want your driver updates and that's it. But
Yep.
for people like me coming new into the space, it was a really helpful
Actually,
tool, and I thought it was
actually,
really good.
Actually, I will push back on you on one thing, sir, where
Sure.
this software is instrumental beyond reproach. And yes, I know some folks out there, and actually, you know what? That'd be a good opportunity. If you have any alternatives, come at me. Come at me.
Recommend them.
And it's like Kirby Louise like he's pulling the thoughts out of my brain before I said it. He put it in the chat. Shadow play. That is the only place I say that you need this software for, because
That's true.
even the built-in Windows stuff is garbage, ladies and gentlemen. Garbage. You want shadow play because it sips your resources while letting you play the game, and it records it at full fidelity, well, as full as it can. Whereas the Google the Windows variant, let's just say you're not going to be happy with the results. Especially DirectX 12 games seem to be extra like buggy on the internal tools.
And you mean just from a bug standpoint or from a resources? Does it just hog up too much resources, or is it? It's just very. It's just not optimal.
It's just not optimal. It's easier to the shadow play, which is basically a component of GeForce Experience. So once you have GeForce Experience now running, you see your gamer tag, if you will, in the top hand corner, the top right left hand corner there, in the next to the cog on the left hand.
Oh, right here, yes.
Next to the cog in the middle, that is the what you're looking for, shadow play. And Alt Z will bring it up, and then you can do some editing with it. There you go.
There you go.
What's on the screen? Yes. Alt F9 starts indefinite recording, and you can set it up so you can record. If you want to record 4K 60, you can record 4K 60. You want to record 1080p, you can record it that way as well. The software is not perfect. Like they want to do full broadcast live and all this stuff. I found that stuff is buggy and weird. But if you want to just be able to record your footage, right? I say this is even better than the internal Microsoft software, because from time to time, Microsoft software, like, you can tell it takes a hit to your performance. Like, I can have my FPS counter up. I turn on the Microsoft recorder, and you'll see it blips a little, right? Whereas shadow play is solid.
I've also seen that Microsoft's approach doesn't play well with HDR. Is that just me? Or is that a thing?
Yep. Absolutely.
So,
Microsoft, like, recently, Windows 11, they're trying to make a better push into fixing the HDR problem. Now they've brought over their auto HDR functionality that they had on the Xbox side. They're bringing it into Windows, right? So we hear that's going to be an interesting place. We will see things go. I hear that there's I forget the name of the game. There was a game that I saw today that's like pending release, where either it's pending release or just been released, where they're thinking of adding direct storage to it. For those who aren't aware, the direct storage API, specifically on Windows 11, allows for much faster load times. Yeah, it's like PlayStation 5 level load times. Like,
but that's not for the quick resume, is it? Is that for the quick resume stuff or no?
That's not its final. That will ultimately, that's where they want to go with it. But right now, it's just speeding up like load times for now. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff that they want to do with it, but like, as it's hit retail stores and retail product, it hasn't been really performant right now. And I think what was it? What's the name of that game that took so much smoke? Oh my goodness, what's the name of it? Forspoken was the first direct storage game to come out and try to do something. Yeah,
that wasn't a good start, but
it was not the best start.
All right, let's
the most auspicious of starts. Yes.
So yeah, guys. So for anybody new, like, any new newbies out there like myself, there are tools out there that'll kind of help you out, and that's pretty much what we're trying to say. So let's move on now, Kay, to look at your Luna stuff.
Okay. So let me load the Luna up. Give me 1 quick minute. So I wanted to bring this up because folks have asked me about Luna and why people like it and what it's about and blah 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 blah, and why it is that it seems that it's out here, but nobody really, I wouldn't say uses it or knows even that they have access to it.
Well, that's Amazon's fault though, because they haven't
Yeah.
really been pushing it. So
it's a weird situation, sir. It's a weird situation. Okay, let me present. Let me share what's on my screen here.
Let me know when it's ready.
Okay, so the reason why I want to share this real quick is because, and there it is, right? And you can see a bunch of the games they have here. Is because unlike what Stadia was doing, this is Windows. So this is like, unlike what Stadia was doing, this is Windows. And unlike what GeForce Now is doing, this is a full-fledged, hey, library in the cloud that you can play. And oh, by the way, if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can play some of those games like for free. Right? I kind of want more people to try it. Why? Because I feel like everyone's experience has been what do you call it? Has been what the hell is it? Game Pass. And as great as Game Pass is, it's more an option than anything else. Than it is like a full-fledged feature. And I feel like this thing actually may have more meat on the bone if people took a little bit more time. And
here's the bar for me, because I've tried all these gaming platforms and streaming platforms, and this is in the order for me, right? To me, Google Stadia set the bar really, really high. Okay. I think that they got the tech right. They have obviously they have they had the performance on par with, to me, the best performance that I played in any cloud gaming service, hands down. That's just my opinion, right? So second place is Nvidia, that I've tried out. Okay. And then Luna's good. I would give Luna's between third and fourth. Xbox is next, because Xbox, to me, even though that they've been doing it, they've been in beta for a very long time. Okay, depending on the device that you're using, I've had a great experience like I have on the Asus ROG Ally. It's the streaming quality is really good. Everything looks sharp, to really bad experiences like I had on my Razer Edge. It's unplayable on my Razer Edge. Because you can the quality, it's very fuzzy. It's just like I'm kind of spoiled right now when it comes to stuff like that. So yeah, it's just, that's the thing here. So and obviously PlayStation now being, in my opinion, last place. I think that they're still probably working on that Gaikai technology, which is the reason why. So in your opinion, where does Luna rank for you in with all of these players? Like, and how many have you tried? Have you tried all of these?
So I've tried every single one. I've tried Luna. I've tried Stadia. I was a Stadia subscriber. Well, they gave me access to it early when it was called Google Stream, right? And then when it became Stadia, I got a discount on the Founders Edition, so I had one of those for a while. And then I've tried all the subscription services. I mean, even the ones that most people don't even play around with or know about, Parsec and all these other things. I've been playing with streaming stuff for quite some time. I find them super interesting because while it's true that they are a delivery medium today, there is a world where they could be the future of gaming.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Could be
100%.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot of pushback to that. You know what I mean?
Listen, there can be pushback all we want, but it's like right now, if you ask the masses,
that nut, it will become ubiquitous.
If you ask, I'm not saying it's going to be the best way to game. I'm saying it's going to be the most widely used way to game, because we've had this conversation before. It's Netflix versus the Blu-ray all over again. I'm fine watching my Matrix through Netflix on my 4K screen. You want that disc because you want that extra fidelity and all the special features and all that. So I think that we're gonna get there one day. Like, I really do, because it's just that's where this medium, I think, is being pushed towards.
See, and the reason I bring this up because of a very interesting story that I caught wind of, and I'm just like, are they really gonna do that? And I thought, you know what? Let's have a quick conversation about it with this in mind. Did you hear that Google's trying with the failure of Stadia, which is it's dead and buried at this point? Google's
Yes.
now trying to test to bring games and online games to YouTube.
Yes, I think that's a great idea by them. I think that's the way to go. That is what they should have done, because YouTube is their platform. That's the one that's used by billions. So you want to point people there and not to a weird name like Stadia. So I think that
So
that's a
you
good
think
play.
had they done that, they would have gotten far better results with it than they have now.
I think that they would have gotten more traction. Now their business model, in my opinion, was what failed them. I think ultimately that's what caused them to fail, their business model. But I think that now, if they want to kind of relaunch this thing and try give it one more go, I think that the YouTube route is the right way to go. I think that's a good business move by them.
And what about the idea that maybe, like, at this point it may be too little, too late? It looks like some of the tricks of the trade that they were trying to pull off, it looks like Microsoft has kind of beat them to the punch. Like right now, if you go to like Google something and you go to let's say you Google Planet of Lana, you can literally hit Planet of Lana and it says play right there because it's in Stadia. You know, it's in
let me give you a comparison. I think that right now in the cloud gaming space, we're so early in cloud gaming in this space that all the major players know that they need to somehow figure out a way to get a piece of the pie. It doesn't matter how big that piece of the pie is. They just need some type of market, penetration. Pause. Okay, because the problem is that, as we've seen on our own PC space with Steam, it's very hard once one company figures out the formula, the Netflix. It's very hard for another company to come with a Disney Plus and kind of try to compete. So I think that all these cloud gaming companies are realizing we need to take a bite of this pie because we need to be in there. We need to throw our hats before one company takes it too far that then it's going to be too late to even try to compete. So I think that that's why the more players that are in this, just like our earlier talk with the hardware, the better it is for us, because it forces innovation and it forces people to step up on their technology, right? Like now PlayStation being at the bottom of the barrel, in my opinion, they should team up with a Google and say, hey, how much to license your tech because it works well. Or for them to team up with a Netflix, for example, and say, hey, you guys have figured out this streaming thing. Let's team up with you. So I honestly think that this is part of like those console wars that not console wars. I'm sorry. Content wars is what I meant to say. That I'm thinking about the trial. Sorry. The content, it's a social construct. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I think that I think that the content war is heating up here, and I think that these companies really want. I've heard. Let me tell you one more thing. I've heard. I heard something great by our good friend Hargeet saying that devices are getting smaller, cheaper. So he personally doesn't think that cloud is ever going to. He thinks that this is and that's okay. I think that he has great thoughts on this, but I'm on the opposite side. I think that cloud is where we have seen that mediums have gone. We've seen it already with music. We've seen it with movies, with TV. Cloud for gaming just makes sense because it's the most convenient way to give a player their game. All they need literally is a control or their phone with the control layout or whatever. They just need an input device. So I think that that's definitely something that that I just think that all these companies are right now desperate, man, to get a piece of that pie.
I agree with you, honestly. I remember I was part of the podcast where Hargeet made his case about his feelings on the cloud. And while his sentiments aren't unique, right? A lot of people are, much like VR, I'm used to people going, this thing is never gonna take off, and I'm like, but it's really good though.
All it takes is that one game, that one app. All it takes is that one something that just takes over, like a Facebook or something like that makes everybody want to get this thing.
So my specific pushback against his thoughts on it is the devices piece of the puzzle, because the devices will always be a debilitatingly expensive way of dividing people, right? And those of us that can afford it. It's great, but we are not the only ones here, and this stuff is never marketed just to us. right? So to assume, well, and I'm not saying he's assuming that, but like I always thought that if nothing else, cloud can fill markets that can't afford $500 consoles. At least that's how it can start, right? You know what I'm saying? And if and not for nothing, environments where the infrastructure is way better than ours, right, can really have performant cloud games and have no issues with that, right? So there are options there. Is it there today? I don't think so. Of course not. It's not there today. Today it's a feature, not the ball game. It's additive. You know, oh, you want to play something real quick, you can do it on there. And that's where it should be today, and that's no issue. But to kill it in its infancy, kill it in its crib, and say, oh, it's not the future. I think there's a potential it could be. We'll just see where it goes. You know, we have to see how the technology flows there, right? You know, people can say anything they want, but the minute that I hand you a game and you're playing it and you're blown away, and I go, oh, by the way, let's play it play from the cloud, you'll be convinced. Hasn't happened yet. All it takes is one time.
Yeah. All it takes is one time, and the thing is, look, I remember on Stadia, I purchased Doom Eternal. I purchased it across my Xbox, Stadia, and Stadia was kind of at its peak there. And I wanted to give it a try, because I love technology and trying out all this stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you, Kay. The experience that I got from Stadia, because I was playing for the plan that gave you the 4K and all that good stuff, and I had the little dongle, the little Google dongle hooked up to the TV, and I did have it hardwired and all that stuff. But the experience that I got on there, to me, it wasn't the optimal experience that I would want every single time. But the responsiveness of the game was perfectly fine, and more importantly, the visuals were on par with with what I'm used to, at least sitting from a distance of my TV. So with that said, what I'm trying to say is that for the same, remember, we are a very unique group of gamers that we are always up on the latest. We know the differences between native and not native and stuff like that. But for your average gamer, the streaming, if you can get it to Google Stadia quality and responsiveness, that's good enough for them. That is good enough for your average gamer that doesn't really care about 30 frames, doesn't really care about 1080p, all that good stuff.
You know what, though? I'll even do you one better, because Stadia was great. And you know what's actually, I will say what has outdone Stadia right now? GeForce Now.
Yes.
By all accounts, it is really, really good. Like,
it's solid.
People are enjoying themselves on that thing. So,
and I think that they're giving you I think that there's even a 4080 pay option, if I'm not mistaken, from last time I saw. So you
can now do 4080 RT cards in there, which sounds like a gimmick, but then you play it and you're like, wow, I feel like I'm literally playing this on a local PC. It's pretty good. It's really, really
I used
good.
I used it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was pretty impressed, man. It was pretty solid. So
shout out to Dusty in the chat. He's saying he's using the 4090 tier of the 4080 tier, and he's loving it. So
nice. That's salute, sir. Thank you for joining us. Okay,
let me read this last super chat here.
Go ahead. Yes,
there's actually 2 super chats here. Let me read them, and then we'll adjourn. And of course, Corby Louise was here with a $5 super chat. He says, "You want to see something crazy? Look up DS Reality. That's most likely some of the crazy stuff you can do with the interesting PC stuff." I was actually going to bring up the whole idea that you can like turn up the chunks in Minecraft so high that it looks like a real movie. We'll talk about that one later.
We'll talk about that later, but to kind of go back on this ABK hearing thing, it's not a trial, it's a hearing. It's a hearing. That might be the reason why
we haven't seen it. Yes. Well, we haven't seen the RT version. Yeah, I was thinking that
it could be strategic. It could be strategic.
Yeah, I hope we see it soon, because that thing is cool. Dave Ramos, great supporter, great community member with a $2 super chat. He says, "Content Cold War is upon us." Zenny, Bungie, ABK, and of course, because my other co-host is not here, I can say it freely. Oh, Sega, which that is weird, right? I have 2 co-hosts and they're both Sega stands. What is going on? There must be some. There must be something wrong with me. I don't know.
It's just Chunky Sonic is just better, man. I don't know what to tell you. Chunky Sonic over Chunky Mario any day of the week. So okay, I think we're about to hit that hour 30, man. I think we've had a great episode. I want to thank everybody that tuned in, everybody that interacted with your super chats, with your comments, with your information, like Kirby Louise, etc. I saw Hargit in here earlier. Mr. Joanna Dark always joining us. Gerald Mack. It's just the list is so long, but thank you always for giving me and Kay an opportunity and a place to speak with fellow gamers on a Monday evening. And thank you so much. I hope I did justice by hosting this week. I'll get better as time progresses. I just need to practice a little more. But yeah, Kay, what other podcasts are you going to show up on this week? What else you got planned? Or I know you're going to put that AOK1 Zoe through its paces. So tell us what you're going to be doing for the rest of the week.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be doing anything. I'm gonna be sneaky. I'm gonna be sitting there hanging out with the old AOK Zoe, trying to put it through its paces. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
I'm excited to to turn it on. Get all the updates, and actually it's up to date. So I'm probably just gonna start like installing games and see how
you're
far
gonna
I
be.
get with it,
You're gonna be doing what the PC gamers have the stigma for. You're gonna be benchmarking, is what you're gonna be doing all
week.
week.
I'm gonna be benchmarking all week. Oh,
that's
and
the
by
game
the
you're
way,
gonna be playing.
Does the Ally do gyro as well?
That's a good question. I haven't really looked into that. I think it has the capability. I don't know if that's been unlocked. That's a good question.
Yeah, so I thought that was very weird. Gyro moves whenever, and I'm like, Windows is usually not good at that. This one does it fairly well.
Is that I've played handheld mode. I want to say 30% of the time since I've had it docked 70% of the time.
Wow. Okay.
Remember, I wanted that.
I'll be playing handheld mode on this thing like 90% of the time. I suspect. Yes.
Yeah. And
I will dock it though. I'll try the docked thing, but for now, I'm going to do the handheld thing for now.
Right. So great episode, K. Episode 2's in the bag, man. Again, thank you guys. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share. We're trying to grow this thing, the Gamers Playground. Really excited about it. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. Guys, keep it gaming, PC game, console game, wherever you game. Just have a good time, guys. Peace.